So before I get into qualifying for the first race of the season in Bahrain, I just want to say that if you missed episode 0, you should go back and watch that. I'm just going through all the setting up of the team and everything. But now, I'm just coming up to the line to start my first qualifying lap of the season for the first race of the season in Bahrain, and I was hoping for a good result in this qualifying session. My car is just ahead of Haas in the standings for like how good the car is, but it's behind all the other cars, so with the second worst car on the grid, but with some of the other drivers that some of the other teams have, I was hopeful of getting into Q2 here, and I thought I had a good chance. Went through turn 1 pretty well, and we go through here pretty well as well. So I was thinking, good start to the lap, I can definitely carry this on. I can definitely get a good lap out of this, because we're going through it well so far. And going into turn 8 now, if I can get through this well, which I do, I'm on for a really good lap here. I've done sector 1 really well, got through all the corners pretty well. So if I just kept that going, I'd be on for a good lap. But I go deep into that turn, and that has cost me quite a lot of time. That would have cost me definitely a couple of tenths of a second. But then coming into this turn, I get that back on track. That's a good turn. So I keep going, and I need to really save my lap now because I would have lost a lot in turn 10, I think it was. And this corner, get through that pretty well. That's one where I felt in practice, I felt quite a lot of understeer, and the car did feel quite understeer in practice, so that is something I was worried about in qualifying, but I managed to keep it under control there. And into the final turn, I get through that well, and all I need to do now, get a good exit out of the corner, and drive to the line, and let's see what sort of time I can do. And I get across the line with a 1:31.3, which puts me 17th at the end of that lap, when everyone else has done their first laps, so that's pretty good. And then we go into lap 2 here, into turn 1, and I already go a little bit deep, and then trying to correct it, I get a snap of oversteer on the exit, which isn't ideal. And as you can see, we're already almost 3 tenths down, 2.5, 3 tenths down on that lap. And as you can see by turn 10, we're already 5 tenths down, so it's not going well in my second lap. But I get that corner a lot better than I did last time. Gained probably about 2 tenths, so I'm thinking here is where I can bring it back. If I can gain some more time in the next corners, I can really bring it back. But I did them pretty well on my last lap, so I wasn't sure if I'd be able to or not. But I definitely gained time in that last corner as well. So I was thinking, could I do it here? And then I go a little bit deep in that corner. My delta did flash green for a second, but it's just because I went too deep. But I was only 2 tenths down here, but by the time we come to the line, I ended up 2.5 tenths down on what my time was before, which wasn't great. So I ended up in P17 qualifying for the first race, which is quite annoying because I thought I could have got into Q2. And you see there, I'm only 18 thousandths of a second behind Daniel Ricciardo there. So just even a slightly better lap in Q1 and I would have been into Q2.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula 1 World Championship. Formula 1 returns to the desert today on this exceptional 3.36 mile circuit. 15 corners provide plenty of overtaking opportunities, and it could be a strategic race, this one, with Sakhir notorious for eating up the rear tyres. Watch out for drivers managing their rubber at some point during the Grand Prix. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Bottas, Joe, Russell, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Albon, Gasly, Ricciardo, the rookie, Tsunoda, Ocon, Magnussen, Vesti, and Logan Sargent. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Well, it's been a long time since I last worked with you. Good to see you again today, Anthony Davidson. Now, it's a new season, plenty of new opportunities, but I think I'm going to start with a question we may have asked last year as well. Can anyone stop Max Verstappen?
That's what they're hoping for. And that's what we're hoping for as well in some ways, because we don't want to see just one driver or one team running away with it this season like we had last year or even the years gone by in this sport. Can we get to see a 2-way or even a 3- or 4-way fight throughout this race today? Fingers crossed we'll get that.
And this is the strategy I was going with for this race. I did play around with a few different strategies, like using mediums in a 2-stop or maybe a 1-stop, or using hards in a 3-stop, but none of them really worked, and the fastest one was just the one it gave me from the start, the 2-stop going soft, soft, hard. And I loaded myself with 57.5 laps of fuel. After practice, it did recommend 108 kilos after the race strategy program, but that would have underfueled me, and I wasn't sure how the fuel was going to be, so I decided to just play it safe and overfuel myself by just half a lap. But now we are on the grid, waiting for the lights to go out for the Bahrain Grand Prix, the first race of the season, and the lights go out, and we do get a good start compared to Ricciardo. He is on hard zone, I'm on soft, so that does explain why I get the better start. But you can see ahead of me, other people do pull away, but I just brake a little earlier. I don't want to get into any trouble in turn 1, don't want to have any contact, which I can hear happening on the right of me, so I think other drivers might have had contact there. Some of them might have some damage, and I try and get a good exit there, but Albon gets the better one, does manage to get past me. He had the better line through there as well. But I had the better line through here, and I'm thinking I can make a dive bomb on him, but George Russell does just get in my way, kills my momentum, and I have to stop so I don't go into him. And that means he just does pull away a bit there, which means that there's a gap now between me and Russell, and Albon is right behind me. And on this straight, Russell's even further ahead. So the effect of the slipstream, I'm not really getting much of it from Russell, but Albon's getting a lot from me, and it's making it easy for him to get right behind me. I had a poor exit out of that corner there, and he's going to try and make a move on me, but as soon as he moved out, I've just managed to pull ahead a bit more, and I'm going to try and stay ahead of him into this corner, and I do. He pulls back in behind me, so he's not going to overtake me there. But then we come into the end of lap 2, and you can see I get so much understeer in this corner. I just wash all the way out to the edge, and that means Albon can get a better exit out of that corner, and he's going to have a run at me down this straight. He's going to get the slipstream, get closer to me, and it means he's going to be close to me at the top of this straight, and he's going to have DRS. So surely he's going to try and make a move on me, and I'm going to have to defend it. And it is going to be a difficult one to defend because he's only quarter of a second behind there, and then he gains so quickly, pulls out to make a move, but he's not far enough ahead of me, I don't think, so I try and fight it. I try and outbrake him. He rides the curb on the inside, but then I just get pinched out, and I have to concede. And slowing down to concede the place there means Hulkenberg can just come at me, and he's going to try and make an overtake on the inside of me, and I'm going to try and hang around the outside here to try and stay ahead of Hulkenberg. And I do just manage to stay ahead of him, but then I get a snap of oversteer, and that just means Hulkenberg can get ahead of me, and that's not great because now I've been overtaken twice in the opening 2 laps, which is an issue. And then I'm just going to brake deep into that corner. I brake too late, and I ended deep into that corner, which isn't great because now Hulkenberg's got a bigger gap, and Ocon is right behind me. And then we're going to come into the end of lap 3, and Ocon's right behind me at the top of the straight, and he's going to have DRS as well. But I do have it on Hulkenberg, so hopefully I'm able to use that to defend on Hulkenberg, to defend on Ocon even. And he does try and pull around me, but I hit a massive bump at that braking zone, and that means I go so deep into it because I just couldn't control the car. And then I get a big snap of oversteer there, and Magnussen and Ocon both passed me because I just messed up turn 1 so badly there. And then Vesti's coming at me. He doesn't try and make a move there, but I go so deep into that corner as well, and my teammate Frederick Vesti gets past me. So just at the start of lap 4, I've been overtaken 3 times just because of one mistake. It just threw me off completely for the whole rest of the start of the lap. And then we move into the end of lap 4, and again you see I get understeer coming out of that turn, which was a big issue for me. I felt it in practice. It didn't bother me in qualifying, but I felt understeer in practice, and understeer in that place was bothering me a lot so far in the race. And it now means that Logan Sargent is right behind me, and he's going to have DRS, and he gets such a better exit. He's already on my gearbox before we even reach the line, and then he's pulling straight past me, and he's already made the move before we're even halfway down the straight. So that is me now into P20, and on the furthest back of the soft runners. Only behind me are Tsunoda and Ricciardo because they're on hards. Then we move into lap 9 here, and I have caught the back of a DRS train. Sargent did pull away a little bit, but they got into a DRS train, which I think Albon is at the front of, and it is keeping everyone slowed up a bit. So it meant I was able to catch up to Sargent, and I was able to stay behind him. And you see I have DRS here, and I did maybe try and want to make a move here, but he just pulled away too much, and I wasn't going to be able to make one. But as you see on lap 11 here, I'm still close. I'm still at the back of this DRS train, and I'm still quite close to Sargent, and I'm going to get DRS again here. And I want to try and make a move, but I'm too far behind. And so I'm just thinking I'll sit back here I'll just coast in, save a bit of fuel. But they all have to brake early because they're all close together. So I think there's a chance here to go around Sargent because he didn't cover the outside. So I'll try and make the move, but he does just squeeze me out. But we're going to have a run up to turn 4. And I've got DRS on him, but he covers the middle of the track well. Makes it so I can't overtake, and I stay in P20 for now. And then coming on to lap 18, I wasn't able to overtake Sargent. So I am on my pit stop on lap 18. And my front left tyre, I don't know if you saw it there, was on 79%. So I really needed this pit stop. And that would probably explain all the understeer I was having, or part of it, because on the right-hand turns, that front left tyre being so worn wouldn't have helped my understeer. And Sargent did pit before me, so he has stayed ahead of me, and he's created a little bit of a gap. But he has pitted onto hards, and I've pitted onto softs. So hopefully this means I'll be able to catch him. And you can see I have caught him here. Lap 19, I'm right behind Sargent, and I'm going to go for a dive bomb down to turn 8. I go quite deep. Can I make it stick? You can see his front wing poking back past, but I do stay ahead of Logan Sargent. So I've made a move now up into P21. I was last after the pit stop, but I'm into P21 now. You did see there that he tried to maybe get past again, but he wasn't able to. And now you can see ahead of me on lap 20, Albon, Magnussen and Hulkenberg all fighting. So I'm getting quite close to them, and they're all going quite slow because of their fighting. So I'm staying close, and I wanted to maybe have a look down the inside of Albon there, but it wasn't on. But I'm thinking, I just moved on Sargent. I'm going to do it again, the same place on Albon, and that is a perfect move. That one is so much better than the one on Sargent. That was clean, didn't outbrake myself, gave Albon plenty of room. That was a much nicer move. And I was up into P19 now, which meant I was right behind Magnussen, lap 22, the same place I just overtook Albon, and I do it again on Magnussen. Not quite as good of overtake as it was on Albon. Did go a little bit deep, but still a good overtake. And now, lap 23, coming up to the main straight, I'm right behind Hulkenberg, and I'm going to have DRS on him, and I'm going to be hoping I can make a move onto Hulkenberg into turn 1. And you can see Tsunoda's pitting as well, just on the left-hand side, so I've overtaken him in the pit stop. And I'm going to try and make a move around Hulkenberg, around the outside into turn 1. Can I make it stick? He's on the inside. I think he rode the curb, but I have made it past Hulkenberg, and I'm up into P16 now, but he's going to come back at me. You can see he's gaining on me. I'm going to squeeze him to the inside of the track, take back the racing line. He's on the inside. I do go a little bit deep, but he was squeezed to the inside, so I had the line, and I stay in P16. But then, onto lap 25, I decide to defend the inside from Hulkenberg this time as he tries to make a move on me. Tries to get the switch back on me there, but I do get the better exit, and I keep my place from Hulkenberg. But then, Magnussen, I think it was Magnussen actually last time, wasn't it? Because Magnussen is behind me now, and he tries to make the overtake again, tries to go down the inside, and he almost gets it, but I just managed to get him around the outside, just managed to stay ahead of him. But he's going to come back at me again, lap 31. He's going to go into turn 1 this time, and he has DRS. Can he make it stick? He doesn't dive deep enough, I don't think, but he manages to make it stick. I could have probably outbraked him a little, and I probably could have kept the place there, so I really should have done that. But we move on to lap 32, and I'm still behind him. Got the DRS, and I easily make it past him into turn 1. Then we move on to the end of lap 32. Little bit of understeer in that place again, and you can see the orange icon for my tyres. So my tyres were getting worn, so maybe it's that front left having an issue again. And that meant Magnussen had a really good run at me down this straight, and I braked a little early because I wanted to try and get DRS on him, but I misjudged the activation zone. I must have braked a little late, and I didn't get the DRS in, so I couldn't attack him again. But on lap 35, it's time for another pit stop. You can see the front left's on 69%, so not as bad tyre wear as it was after the first stint, but still quite worn. And coming out of the pit stop, we've got Albon and Hulkenberg behind me, and I was hoping to stay ahead of them in the pit stop. It's going to be tight on the exit, but you can see them in my rearview mirror. They're staying just behind me, so I managed to keep my P20 and stay ahead of Albon and Hulkenberg in the pit stop. As you can see there, I passed Magnussen and Sargent when they pit, and I'm able to get ahead of them. So I'm up to P18. I managed to undercut on Sargent and Magnussen in the pit stop. But Sargent is right behind me on lap 42. He's going to try and make a move into turn 4. Can he make it stick? He doesn't quite get far enough alongside me, I don't think, and I managed to stay ahead of him. And then moving on to lap 43, I've caught up to Zhou. I'm only 0.3 behind him now. I was about 3.5 behind him on the last lap. So I try and defend from Sargent because he was trying to make a move on me in that corner, and I knew I needed to get past Zhou here. because Sargent was relentlessly attacking me, and he did look dangerous. He did look like he might be able to get past at some point. So I knew I had to get past Zhou, then hopefully he'd be able to block Sargent up a bit, make Sargent go slow behind him, and hopefully I could pull away, create a gap to Sargent so that he wouldn't be able to get to me. But then Sonoda, out of nowhere on lap 52, made his way through the field on softs, tries to make an overtake on me. He goes to the inside, I go to the outside. I try and stay ahead of him, but I'm not able to, and he takes the place. But then, lap 55, a couple of laps later, I'm trying to make a move on him, get that place back, stayed behind him for a couple of laps, stayed in the DRS, waited for my moment, then made the move into turn 1 to get P14 back. And then you can see here, lap 55, just the leaders had just come up behind us. So I let Verstappen through because he's a leader, blue flags, cede my position to him. And then I try to do the same for Perez. And no one's having any of it. Magnussen especially is not having any of it. He jumps the curb into turn 1. So I said in episode 0, I had rewinds on. And I did it there because Magnussen was just being stupid. I think stupid AI is a fair reason to rewind there, because Magnussen shouldn't have been jumping the curb when I was trying to cede the position to Perez under blue flags. But then we come to what is actually the final lap of the race here, which I didn't realise at the time. I completely forgot that. But obviously, because Verstappen overtook me, I was a lap down. So I end up finishing in P14 at the end of the race, which for my first race isn't that bad. Qualified P17, had a really bad opening stint, and I managed to claw myself back up to P14, and I got driver of the day. So I was pretty happy with that. And you can see here, Perez and Sainz filling up the other podium spots. So it's a good start to the season for Red Bull and Ferrari, I guess. And you can see here, this is the finishing order. The top 5 teams occupying all the points places. Gasly getting 11th, so close to points there. But the rest of us not getting points. But I think we did a pretty good job. Going from 17th to 14th in the race. Not too bad. Magnussen did a pretty good job as well, jumping up 5 places. Sargent as well, jumping up 5 places. So maybe other drivers should have got driver of the day instead of me. But I'm happy with P14. So I hope you enjoyed the first race of the season. I did, and I think it was a pretty decent first race. So if you did enjoy it, leave a like. If you want to keep watching this series, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.